to a show.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Off the Mats podcast. And this week, we're approaching 300. We're so close. We're like 18 episodes away as of this episode, so we're getting there. But before we get to 300, I wanted to have a guest on that. I've been wanting to talk to this dude for a very long time. Couldn't capture him, but I got him now. And this guest is actually a big, important part of my jiu-jitsu journey, my original coach, as a matter of fact. So to the podcast today, I want to welcome Coach Danny Ives. What's going on, Coach? How you feeling, man?
Oh, super fantastic, like always, man.
Good. Thanks for, making the time to do this. I've been wanting to talk to you for a while, and then there have been times where I'm like, man, he's like busy. He's just like,
I feel like we've been trying to carve out this time for like a hot minute here. You know what I mean? It's been a while.
But life, just moves, and then it's tougher. Like, even when you find that opening, you're like, oh man, something else, housework, family, and sometimes you just need a nap. You're like, hey, you want to record? Yeah, should be fine. And then it's like texting, you there? No, I'm sleeping. I need a nap. So I get you, man. It's how it goes.
Yeah. I feel like that actually might have happened once. I think we were supposed to do something. I might have fell asleep or something. I don't know, man.
I know that I try to do these episodes on Saturday afternoons after training, and sometimes it goes against my better judgment.
Wait, did you train today?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was pretty light. Like a little bit of funsy there at the end. I rolled with Mark, and it's just basically me. Like, I recorded the round. It's just me like yelling at him, like, dude, like, you're fat.
No, Saturday is like the blue belt only practice, man. When I walked in that joint, and it was like 12 blue belts, like maybe one white belt and like a purple belt. It was like the blue belt showdown, dude.
Yeah, I mean, today it was similar. I think we had 2 purple belts, 2 white belts, and then 8 to 10 blue belts in there. So it was, that's our ground right there. We're just like, hey, shark infested waters, I guess. But it was fun. It was light work. Just, no real pressure or anything. Just go out there and train. But it's also tiring. I come home and I'm like, dude, I want to shower and go to sleep. But I keep scheduling episodes right after. So,
dude, were you there the Saturday? And Naomi and I tried to roll, and our daughter was there, and our daughter she tried to jump in the middle of us because she thought we were fighting.
No,
yeah, you were. No, you might have left, man. So yeah, Mahoney was sitting there with our daughter, and Naomi and I were going to Feet Live, and we're gripping, and my daughter Josie just flipped out. I was like, no. So Mahoney ended up having to roll with Naomi because like Josie would not tolerate mommy and daddy in any combative form on any level.
Like, what is this going? Like, well, you guys are fighting? No.
Yeah, that's what she probably thought, man. Naomi's been hurt. When Naomi heals up, I'll be back probably every periodic Saturdays. I'll be in, man. But yeah, my poor woman, apparently made out of glass, so constantly gets hurt.
Hey, I mean, as we age, it gets more and more brutal on our bodies, but also too, it's just sometimes we push ourselves. So, but I'll be looking forward to that.
I'm not allowed to roll with any big guys anymore. That's a new policy that Keith and I have instituted.
That's fair.
No more rolling with anybody in the room and any comer.
Yeah, I mean, she had been showing up on Sundays to drill, and that worked for me because it was either drill with Epps, who likes to drill wrist locks, or drill with Madeline, who's like,
rules, man.
Like, it's like she's prepping for a competition, and it's like, then there's me. I'm like, I'm just here to like learn some moves and like make sure I still know jiu-jitsu. Like, you're over here drilling wrist locks, you're over here drilling words I don't understand. And then Naomi comes in, it's like, yes, we can do like jiu-jitsu like normal people. So
I gotta say, do you have the clip of you guys practicing the hip tosses at the old Ivey League on the crash pad?
I have it in some capacity because I know
that video is actually pretty awesome, man.
There's like a small because I remember I put like effects on it Because like,
Did you really?
there's like when she throws a hip toss and she's like standing over me, and I put like fire effects on her fist. And I was like, this is what happens to me when I go to train. I get abused.
Dude.
And I was like,
you and me both, man.
But it's all fun. It's all fun. But yeah, I'm looking forward to like you coming back and just being around, because I always hear it's like, yeah, Danny was here. I was like, really? Like,
it's like a Loch Ness Monster sighting there.
Yeah,
but no, I mean,
that's what it's like to me. It's like, oh, wait a minute, like the Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot, like one of these mythical creatures. Like,
no, you stopped. You fell out of contact with me too, man, because I didn't talk to you for like 2 years. I thought you were mad at me or something. I'm at 88, and you come walking in. I'm like, Butcher! And it was like not one day had passed. So yeah, I didn't even know if you were still training, man. Because remember, Naomi was out for a while. We had, she had the kids, and then she had knee surgery, and then she came back, and then I started kind of coming back after her, and I didn't even know if you were still in the fold, man. I felt hurt because we used to talk about freaking the boys all the time. The show. Speaking of, season 5 is coming out. I'm not sure when, but soon. I
think it's early 26, because the spinoff show right now, Gen V, is on.
There's a second season of that?
Yeah, it just started. So I think it's episode 5 right now.
Okay, I'm about to go on my computer and start looking at. I'll have to check that out tonight. Like, wasn't as good as the boys, but Gen Z was pretty good, man. Yeah, I enjoyed it, but the boys is so much more. It's a certain speed that I'm with, where like Gen V is like, it's fine, but I need a little bit more action. So yeah, I'm with you, man. So wow, let's talk jiu-jitsu. Yeah, I'm way off. Dude, you know me, man. My brain's like a bag of cats, man. So I'm way off.
Oh yeah, I'm no help at that, because if you change the topic, I'm gonna go with you. So because ADD supreme here.
Yeah.
But yeah, a big thing that I want to talk about is really just, you starting in jiu-jitsu, because I know around the gym we talk about it, we hear it, and it's like, okay, but it's like in pieces. It's like, well, let's just sit down and just talk. I want to, talk about you starting up, and then just like kind of go through like just, jiu-jitsu talk period with you. I guess, first and foremost, with you training early on, just in general, what got you into martial arts? Like, were you doing anything before jiu-jitsu? Did you wrestle, karate, things like that? Ninja Turtling?
Well, Ninja Turtles, guys, that was the pathway. Ninja Turtles was the segue in. I saw that. You understand, man, I'm from a rough neighborhood, man. So, I fighting was like an everyday occurrence. So I basically was like, if I'm going to keep on fighting like this, I need to learn how to fight. So I saw Ninja Turtles. I'm 8 years old. I started doing karate. I did Kempo karate at Philadelphia Rec Center, because the center in town there, they always offer like little programs. Like these. It was like cheap. It was like $5 a lesson. But what I realized, I could get beat up in fights, man. Trying to use all this karate, I was still getting the crap kicked out of me. So I saw the first UFC, and I was like, man, who's this skinny Brazilian dude beating the crap out of everybody? And I kept looking, trying to find a place that taught it. And then I remember I opened up the Yellow Pages in December of 1994. Keep in mind, I'd done Kempo karate, I did Taekwondo, I boxed, I did all the stand-up stuff. But there was a school that had just opened up in Philadelphia called Maxercise. And my mom took me on Christmas Eve, 1994, for my first class. And I was hooked, because I got mollywopped. But I was like, this stuff works. And then basically every time I would go to class, I would learn a new move, and I would take it to the streets and test it on all the neighborhood thugs and hoodlums and beat the crap out of everybody. And, I remember the first time I choked somebody unconscious, and it was like a week later I broke someone's arm with an arm bar, and I was like, okay, man, this stuff obviously works. And then everyone in the neighborhood, no one knew what jiu-jitsu was. Everyone in the neighborhood was like, oh, man, he got to do that kung fu stuff on you. And I was like, I knew it worked. So I was hooked, and I just kept training from there. So I started at Maxercise, which was run by a guy named Steve Maxwell. I don't even know where he is. That guy's nuts. He's kind of a douchebag, but that's a different story. I'll tell you as it's straight, man. I was at Maxercise for a while, and I ended up tapping him out. I got him in a toe hold, and he beat me. I was like 16 years old, and he beat me up, like physically beat me up. And I remember I went home and told my mom. My mom was like, don't go back there. And I was like, I didn't know what to do. But Henzo Gracie Academy had just opened up in Philadelphia. So I went to a seminar that Henzo gave in 1997 because I got my blue belt in 96. Wow, that's crazy. I got my blue belt in May of 1996. And I had to fight with Maxwell not long after, and I went to Henzo's. I went to the seminar, and I got destroyed by Nick Serra, Matt Serra's brother. And I was like, okay, this is the place I need to be. And so I joined up with Henzo's. I was with them for probably 6 or 7 years, 8 years. And then, I just had a falling out with them. I was a bit of a troublemaker, so I ended getting leaving Henzo's and joining up with, I went to Militich's for a while. I lived in Iowa, trained out there for a while. Did MMA, that sort of thing. And then got recruited to come to Maryland by Lloyd Irvin. So I won Pan Am's in 2001, purple belt feather. I was the first American to win that weight class. So that, and I've done a lot of stuff, man. I've had a lot of wins. I've had a lot of rough losses. I've been a very good hammer and a very good nail. But Henzo and Ricardo Almeida had the most influence on me personally. My game, if you look at like what I do, how I roll, all that stuff, that all comes from Henzo and Ricardo. Ricardo Almeida, me and him might not have seen eye to eye then, but I mean, I really owe that guy a lot, man. When I went to Brazil, I stayed with his parents. They would help me out, things like that. I've had a good journey, but I ended up in Maryland with Team Lloyd Irvin. Then that whole fiasco happened, but I had opened up Ivey League and kept on going. I got my brown and black belt from Lloyd and owned Ivey League until 2020 when COVID hit, and then I sold it to Coach Keith at Crazy 88, and then it became a Crazy 88 school. And from what I could tell, it's flourishing. It's doing well. My wife still trains there. I took my kid in for a couple lessons, but getting him there at 5 o'clock was rough, man.
Yeah.
But, so I've been doing jiu-jitsu now for almost 31 years.
I always think about Christmas Eve because I remember you saying, every time around that time, it's like, you started on Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve.
It's like, so
Christmas
Eve hits and it's always in my mind. It's like, I think I know your start date better than I know my start date.
I might actually know. I probably know. If I went through my paperwork, I probably could find your start date in my computer. I probably have it on this computer right now. I have a rough estimate. When was it?
April of 2015, roughly.
Was it really?
I just started a new job, and that opened up scheduling for me. So I was like, okay, and I was making a little bit more money. So I was like, okay, now I think I can do this.
You were a morning warrior guy, man. You always came in the AMs, which were my favorite practices. No offense to the night guys, but the morning ones I had a good connection with those guys.
Yeah, those morning classes, like any of them really, not just like, it's like even now I do Saturday mornings. It's like there's something about training. Well, not like deep early morning, like those 6 a.m. people. Nah.
No, that never worked for us, man. We tried that at Ivey League like 3 different times to do them 6 a.m. workouts. People are so full of shit. People are like, oh man, I'm gonna be there. I always say, and then you start that class. I'm there at 6 a.m. Ain't nobody there.
Yeah. It's a tough thing because it's like, people in the moment they're like, I'm here for it, I'm about it, and then when the time comes, it's like
the wrestling class. I bring Alex Wardy, amazing, one of the best wrestling coaches I've ever worked with. Such a good instructor. Bring this guy in. It starts off 20 people, then it's got 15, then it's got 10, then we're down to like 3.
Yeah, I think there was one class I went to. One of the wrestling classes, and I think Alex Hawkins was filling in for him.
Oh yeah.
And we're waiting around. It was just Hawkins and I. And I was like, wow, like I don't know any wrestling. I'm here to learn wrestling. And
no, Naomi was like one of the only people that even took the class. Naomi and Patrick Ellis were like the only 2 that were consistently in that class.
Yeah, like anytime I would pop in, remember Naomi being there. Yeah, it was like numbers just kept dwindling. Like, wrestling's tough.
That's the thing. People don't want to do it because it's hard. Wrestling is hard.
Yeah.
That's why I have so much respect for wrestling. I always joke around. I say that no offense to my jiu-jitsu community, but I always say that the boys do jiu-jitsu, but the men wrestle. And they get very hot over that one. But it's true, man. Like the hardest thing I've ever done is in that workout room at Lehigh University in the summer of 2003. Done 4, man. Like, dude, I would rather do prison time than do some of those workouts again. For real, man. I would rather, if you were like, man, you got to go to the shoe for like a couple months or do those workouts, I might take the shoe.
Yeah, wrestling, it's like I pop in Friday nights with Coach Mike's,
Mike's
wrestling.
Right. Yeah.
And like I can't do it too much consistent, like too many Fridays in a row. It's like it's tough on the body. I'm 47, so
are you 47, Dante? No way.
Yeah. Like coming up on 48.
I like 39, dude.
I mean, dude, I wish, because at 39, like my body was still like moving like better.
I guess that's around the time I met you, was around like 39-ish, Yeah,
let's see.
Like 37, 38, 30, somewhere in that neighborhood.
So
prime training.
So what was I in 15? Because I was 37, and then Sophie was born a year later when I was 38. So yeah, but I think like even when I was training early on, like I could only go to the Saturday morning class, so I would see you kind of in passing from time to time. Because I remember first starting, I came in and watched the kids class because you're coaching one of the kids class, and that's what actually got me, as being a former preschool teacher, seeing how the interaction with the kids went. And that says a whole lot to me, how the interaction with, the other folks will go as well. And I was like, okay, I like it here. There's a good vibe. The kids are happy. The coaches seem like, they are listening to the kids, they understand, and they're explaining in a way where the kids will get it. So if you can explain it well enough for a 6-year-old to get it, you can explain it well enough for anyone to get it. So I was like, let me go ahead and check in.
Our kids program, I stand tall, it was a unique program and special, different than every other one. That's, I think, the program that I'm most proud of is the kids program. And that's the one I miss so much.
Oh yeah.
Like when Naomi and I had that, like before, the influence of others, it was, dude, that program was rocking. It's when we started listening to other people who didn't know anything about coaching kids is when we started to have, some issues. But when you came and checked it, that was like the kids program at like the top, like the height of its popularity,
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't know that though. Kids class can't. It's a good way to gauge a school though, because most adults kind of talk down the kids and treat kids kind of crappy. But if you go in and they're really listening, man, we love the kids and we respected them. And when they would voice opinions or say it, we listened to them. Be like, hey man, that's a good idea, dude. I mean, like a lot of the ideas the kids came up with were crappy, but so are half my ideas. So I would listen to them, And sometimes, dude, a lot of times the kids were right. They'd be like, Coach Danny, I think maybe we should do blah blah blah. And I go, that's a good idea. Instead of being like, get out of here, you're 9 years old. What the hell do you know?
Like, what do you know? Like, can you tie your shoes? No.
If I launched another program again, if I launched another program, I would make it very, very heavy kids based, and I would teach just jiu-jitsu, focus on self-defense, and I would do no competitions. No, I wouldn't train fighters because fighters are a pain in my ass. They're like dealing with teenage girls. They are. I wouldn't do any fight, no MMA, no kickbox, none of that stuff, man. By the way, rest in peace, Duke Rufus, man. You heard about that?
No.
Duke Rufus died last night, man.
Oh shit.
Yeah, man, died in his sleep last night. It's really sad. I know Duke personally, man. We go way back. It's really sad. So, but I wouldn't do any of that stuff. All I would do is jiu-jitsu. I would heavy kids focus. I would do jiu-jitsu for older guys like us. No competitions. I'm not talking about points. Just talking about what wins in a real fight, and we're just going to do that. That's all I would do.
Hey, I mean, it's straight to the point, though, right?
Yeah.
Like,
there's nothing wrong with talking about points or having a school based on, it's heavy in the tournament. There's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. For me, I don't like dealing with tournament guys. I don't like dealing with the, because the reason I wanted to get out of jiu-jitsu is I started getting really annoyed with people that, they want you to train them. Like fighters are a good example. You want you to train. When they win, I'm the greatest. Yeah, I won. But when they would lose, they would always blame me. Like, oh, you didn't train me right or whatever. I'm like, no, I didn't train you right. You just got beat. It was always some bullshit excuse. It's like, you just got beat. Plain and simple. It happens to everybody. I've been beat many times.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's just, especially these days. Like, I'm a football fan. So, as I'm watching football, you see a team lose and they, want to blame anyone but, their own shortcomings, or admit the other team was better than them. So it's like, well, it must be the coach. The coach sucks. It must be the refs. It must be the training staff. It must be this. And it's like, sometimes you just run into someone that's better than you, and you have to go back and figure that out. Like,
no, I mean, the people always ask me, people always ask me about Lloyd Irvin and working with him as him as my coach and what he was like. And I always tell people the thing about Lloyd Irvin is that he ran his program like a NFL football team or like a good high level Division I, like an Alabama, a UF type of football. That's how he ran his program. And when you're with Lloyd, man, it's like when you run a program like that, you're usually going to have success. And that's the thing, like you have the Lions. I know you ride or die Lions, man. Listen, man, the best team in college, Alabama, Lions would beat the hell out of them. You know what I mean? So, there's different levels to this type of stuff. And when it comes, everyone wants to place blame and things like that, but when you're competing at that level, it's not easy, man. So yeah, but no, I just think that I think when it comes to like with someone like Lloyd or programs like that, man, elite level programs, they're playing up here, I'm not interested in doing any of that stuff. With the fighters and stuff and constantly blaming you. You get one guy at UFC, it's all good and well, but it doesn't matter, man. It's like.
Well, I think that's just the thing, though, too. There are levels to it. When I go out and visit other gyms every so often, I see that. I see like, okay, you guys are learning jiu-jitsu and, learning self-defense and you got the techniques down and you're not pressuring, you're not like, there's kind of a laid back atmosphere to it where you're learning and you're not like worried about the next weight cut or, this season or that season and trying to get prep for a certain thing. And again, there's certain like, benefits that come to that as well. You look at a wrestling program, those guys are always on the go and staying prepped, but if that's what you're doing, that's what you're doing. And if you go to, a gym that's that way, I would like to think that that's what you're walking into. And then if you say, hey, maybe this isn't for me, I'm going to dial it back a little bit. I want to still learn, but I also don't want to like go crazy, just, with all the extras. So, I mean, I definitely could see it. Like if you did it again, I'd seek it out. Like, what do we got going on over here?
No,
let's see.
I'm thinking about it, man. Me and Naomi's dad, Ryan, have been talking about just something small down here in Edgewater, but it's like you just said, man. Like I don't like if I open up a place, we're not talking about weight cutting. We're not talking about getting ready for the next IBJJF anything. You just train, you have a good time, you have fun. If you need to sit out around because you're tired, that's fine. You need to sit out 2 rounds because you're tired, that's fine too. I would consider it like old guy jiu-jitsu, man. It'd be a place like guys like us walk into. There's no pressure. You drill at your pace, you go at your pace, you learn at your pace. That's I think something that people need to understand too is that you can have two different gyms, and I say different, like completely different systems. You could switch from one gym to the other and do much worse at one gym. Like it's all about what gym works for you and what gym fits. Like that's the thing. Like Renzo Gracie's system and the way they did things up there worked really well for me, but it might not work for the other guy, And that's like even with Lloyd Irvin, man. Like when I came down here to train with Lloyd, like it wasn't really a good fit for me the way that he kind of ran it. But look at guys like JT Torres, man, or Keenan Cornelius or Ryan Hall. Like these guys, it worked, fit for them. And so I don't believe in good or bad jiu-jitsu gyms. What I believe is every gym is different and every gym has a different fit for a different person. You might work really well at one place and switching. Like an NFL quarterback, man, you have a guy switches from let's just say the Chargers. He goes to the Eagles. He was a killer with the Chargers, getting it done. He goes to the Eagles. He don't do crap. He's terrible. You find a program that fits. I was very lucky that the way that Renzo did things, which was essentially, bloodbath and murder, death, kill practices, worked really well for me. Or like the way they taught wrestling at Lehigh University worked really well for me. The way MMA was coached at Militich worked really well for me. So you just got to find what works for you. If I were to run another gym again, like I said, I wouldn't, no emphasis on tournaments, none of that stuff. It would just be a laid back, come in, roll around, learn some moves, get your belts, and when we feel like you're ready. But there's, that's it, man. And thinking about it. I'm thinking about Dante. If I do it, I'm definitely having you come down and stop. I'm not saying to leave 88. I'm saying I'll have you stop in and work out, man. All the 88 guys are welcome to train with you or whatever,
Oh, of course. I mean, if I catch wind of it, you message me, anything I hear, I'm like, you know what? I got to go make a trip. I'm always for it. So, I mean, even, like, because there was a transition period where I was training very, very little. I could only train, Wednesday mornings.
Yeah, you were telling me. You
And
said there was like a while where you weren't really into it, man. What happened with that?
I think a big part of it was COVID. Like it was before COVID, like right at that beginning part of it, but then also just through that and after, I started like just falling out of love with it. There was a point where the jiu-jitsu was everything for me, and then I think I went overboard. I just kind of burned myself out, and I had to step back. So I think going those Wednesday classes once per week, I loved going to them, but I think that really helped though a whole lot, because it was like, okay, you can breathe a little bit. You gotta now. I think also there's I matured a little bit mentally, because I had to go in and train, but it's like, but I'm just going in. Like, what am I taking away from this? So once I came back, like, was it what year? We're in 25 now, so I think I came back. I want to say summer of 23, maybe 24. My work schedule changed again, and I was able to start getting to the Saturday morning classes. And we had from time to time Sunday open mat. From time to time I get to an evening class when Sarah's not working. And now as I'm going to classes, I'm looking at what we're doing. I'm recording the techniques being done. And then that's how I write my notes.
Yeah.
I can't go back and just write from memory. I take the video, I look at the video, and I start writing down what's being done in the video. And now now I'm back to it where I feel like, okay, I'm enjoying this again. I'm having a lot of fun with it. It doesn't feel like, because I think during that period, the world was just really weird. So it's like everything felt like a burden. And then when I get on the mat, I didn't feel that feeling of this is my escape. I felt like the world just followed me in. And as I'm getting smashed in side controls, like, oh no, it's happening here too. So whereas before it was like, oh, side control, not a problem. Like, not a problem. Like, let me get some work here. I can get out of this. But during that period, it was just like, fuck. Like,
well, there's a lot of people that think COVID changed everything. They say that jiu-jitsu changed as a whole after COVID. Now, remember, I sold Ivey League in the middle of COVID. So, I don't really know. I can't really speak about that. But a lot of people, like Jose Vilrisco, he just sold it. Or he didn't even sell his school. He just basically closed his school down. He said after COVID, everything was different, man. The students were different. The vibe was different. The feel, all that.
Yeah. There was a period where, like, just looking at it from a social media standpoint, the vibe felt weird. As I'm talking to other folks from other gyms, and just it just felt like it was jiu-jitsu was there, but it was going through a transition of whatever sort it may be.
I would say, what do you think it was, man? You lived through it. You tell me what changed in the jiu-jitsu community pre-COVID and post-COVID.
I think we as people outside of jiu-jitsu get divided very easily, and that carried into jiu-jitsu. You had some folks, adhering to COVID regulations and rules, and you had others saying, screw that, it's dumb, we're not going to do it. And then I start seeing like these weird divides, and now it's not as prevalent. But during that like late 2020 through a little bit of 21, it was like every week it was just one like controversial comment after the other through social media, which doesn't necessarily affect our gym, but people are still talking. There's still the whispers about it and the opinions. And it's like, can we just fucking train? I just want to train. I don't care about, like, if you don't want to train because, you're concerned with it, then don't. But you had a lot of people who, well, I don't want to train, so I don't want you to train, and I'm going to tell on you. Or I don't want you to train, and I'm shitty about it. And then there are people who are going to train, and if that person doesn't want to train, they're poking at them. And it's like, just if you want to train, go train. If you don't want to train, don't train, but leave me the fuck alone, because I just want to do my thing.
Yeah, you do you, motherfucker. Like, leave me alone, dude. Yeah. Come on, man.
Yeah. And I think that's just a part of it. There's other stuff that I just felt like, and I can't quite pinpoint, but it's just everything just felt like, I don't want to say toxic, but it felt very like unwelcoming as a community at one point. Now I think we've gotten back to the base. I want to say around 22, 23, things start to really come back. And it feels like now
is weird as shit as it is. So
yeah.
no, I mean, look, I'm just trying. The jiu-jitsu community is full of a bunch of weird ass dudes, man. So
yeah,
you know, I just like I'm sitting there. I'm like, I think that maybe things got weirder. You know, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I mean, if you voluntarily, want to go get your arm like cranked on or get choked, like that already says like, hey, something might be a little odd about this cat, but he's smiling while it's happening, so he's happy, I guess. But I won't understand it.
I mean, look, I'm not one of them dudes that gets a jolly out of getting choked and getting my shit kicked in. I like winning and beating people. I think every man should know how to defend themselves just for their family, like. So mm-hmm. I mean, if you're one of them dudes, man, like I remember, God, was it? I don't know if it was Julius 88. One of the schools, man, we had a guy training with a thong on, like a woman's thong on, and I think he really did get a jolly out of getting his ass whooped. Like that was kind of what turned him on. It was weird, man. It might have been 88. I can't remember. It was 88 or Ivy League, one of them. But jiu-jitsu for me was about just learning how to fight and defend, And I think like a lot of people get into jiu-jitsu and it becomes their whole world, their social avenue and all that crap. And I'm like, dude, I always kind of had like this world here, and then jiu-jitsu world was over here. So I don't know.
Yeah, like, that's where I actually had to get to a point where I could separate the two. And I think that's where I started to I think that's where the burnout came from. And once I was able to kind of separate, because there was a point I know work-wise, I was able to train a lot. And there was a point where I was there 6 days a week. Like
you were, right before I saw you were there a lot, man. I mean, you were getting in there and getting them rounds in.
And like one day, Sarah says to me, "Hey, your kid hasn't seen you in a week," and I was like, "Oh fuck." And then that's where I kind of started dialing back, and then COVID happened, and then it was like, well, now I'm forced to take a step back, and it's just like, kind of figuring out now. It's like, okay, well, I have these two worlds now. I have the jiu-jitsu world in my mind, and then I have, my real world with my family in the other part of my mind. So it's like, I gotta, make that balance work. So, and, for, again, there's a lot of folks that for them, it's, pedal to the metal, all the time, jiu-jitsu, and that's fine. Like if you're built for that and that's what you want to rock and roll and do it. And then for others, and again, I think that was a part of that weird divide during that period where you had people that are that way, and if you weren't that way, they did not like you. But now we're at a point where it's like, if you're that way and the other person isn't that way, they're like, that's cool, no big deal. And I think we kind of gotten back to a base where people are just like, do what you do, as long as you're happy and you're not hurting nobody else. That's cool, and I'm glad we're back at that. At least it seems like it.
What's crazy to me, man? And you can relate to this. Any parent out there can. Like, okay, I've got two children now. I've got a 3 and a 5-year-old. And, like, I don't even understand how the hell you could train 6 days a week and still be a good parent. Like, I work 60 hours a week. And then, like, I get home and I spend my time with kids. For me to get to jiu-jitsu once a week is, like, a major victory for me. But then you got guys out there, they're training 6 days a week. There's sometimes they go twice a day. And they got, like, young kids. I don't know, man. I don't know.
I think for me, I know, because I would be able to come home and do bedtime stories. That was the big thing for my relationship with my daughter.
Yeah.
Is being able to do bedtime stories and sing lullabies before bed. Mm-hmm. And then I'd also, see her early in the morning. So like at that age for her, those are kind of like the key moments. Like I could sit down and read whatever story we might read. We'll sing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, because that's like the only lullaby I know. But then I'd be like, hey, I got some other music. So I put on like some like 80s R&B, like, hey, so we got the barge. Let's listen to this song. And, she really likes those songs. They like click in her head now. She'll hear like Tina Marie and now here in the backseat of the car, like singing along as we're driving. Like, oh my God, I forgot. I used to play this when you were 2. But it's like, but even for me with that balance, I don't know that. I mean, she seems adjusted. She seems fine. But part of me still has this guilt where it's like, I don't know, like, I don't feel like that was enough, but it all balanced out eventually once everything shut down for a moment. I was like, okay, now I see. I have, after that, I would, play Barbies with her. We built Legos together. We're building ramps and flying cars across the living room on them. It's like, okay, this was that extra piece that I was missing. That
you
she was
brought
missing.
Her with you a lot to practice too, though.
Yeah.
I think the fact that she was there was that connection. I'm more talking about like if your kid's not with you, you're out training 5 nights a week or whatever, and then you're getting home and they're already in bed. Like I don't understand how you can be an effective parent and pursue jiu-jitsu like full-time, like a full-time kid. I just don't know, man. I couldn't do it. I didn't understand that when I was younger because I didn't have kids, but now I do. So,
yeah, it's not something I don't think, especially now, because even like she knows my schedule now, where it's like Monday night you're going to jiu-jitsu, we know. Saturday morning, we know. Occasionally on a Sunday I might go in and drill, we know.
mm-hmm.
But if I say, hey, I'm going to go on a Wednesday night, she's like, what? Like, well, that's different.
Sophie, Sarah says that.
Sophie.
Oh, okay.
Now, Sarah like tells me, if I take a night off, she's like, are you sure you want to take a night off? Because, I'm a little bit of a cranky, shit when I don't train. So she's like, you should probably go train.
I don't know. I've never seen this side, but I believe it. No, it's good for your mind.
Yeah, I think what happens is if I don't train, I'm just like, I'm grumpy, but if I train, I get my ass beat, and it's like, hey, I got humbled. So I don't have time to be grumpy because I'm contemplating, like, why did he wrist lock me? I thought we were cool. Like, that was unnecessary. And she's like, she's probably paying them. She's probably like, hey, make sure you, like, when you wrist lock him, make sure you like look him in the eye. Extra 20 in it for you.
I know Naomi be saying shit like that. She likes seeing me get my ass whooped.
I don't know. Like Sophie has seen me in the worst spots in training. Well, she's a little kid, so she's just like, they're just playing. I'm like, no, kid, I'm dying right now. Like, please call the authorities.
There's a crime happening in here, girl.
Like, I don't know how to actually use the phone. Yes, you do. You go to all those stupid games. Well, I don't know how to make a phone call. Meanwhile, I'm like, all right, this is an assault now.
Yeah, no, I'll hear you on that one, man, for sure.
But going, back to opening Ivy League, when you first, I guess when the ideal came up to open up Ivy League and just start the gym, like what was that initial vision for you? Like, just kind of the ideal moving ahead with the gym.
Julius Park actually talked me into it. I was going to move back to Pennsylvania. I stopped working with Lloyd. And I was going to move back to Pennsylvania. And Julius sat me down. He's like, you can build something down in Annapolis. You can do something big. There was one other fellow that was in Annapolis, John Garfield. He's a great guy, by the way, very good jiu-jitsu guy. And, I felt like, okay, there might be room for two of us there. And he talked me into it. And my vision as far as what to do with it, I kind of wanted, back then I was younger, man. I wanted fighters. I wanted high-level competitors. I wanted all that stuff. But after a few years went by, I realized that wasn't really, I didn't really care about that as much, The kids program became the big thing for me, man. Like seeing the kids progress and get better, not just on the mats, man, but like seeing these kids go from being scared and afraid to go to school to all of a sudden they're holding their head up high and they're walking in with confidence and teaching these kids how to be, these kids to believe in themselves. That was the part I liked, man. And that had nothing to do with tournaments. I just, as a byproduct of that, we had a very successful kids program. We had multiple Pan Kids champions. Like the little girl who trains now, Madeline. I always called her Ricky Fish. She was a Pan Kids champion with our kids program and stuff like that. The kids program became a big part, man. So I never envisioned. I didn't even want to teach kids at first. We didn't even have gi classes when I first opened Ivy League. It was no gi only. I wanted to have an MMA program and all that stuff, and I just realized as time went on, like that wasn't the vision. This happens a lot, man. Your vision, whatever you think that vision is, it will change a lot of times. At least for me, it did. And when it changed, it became more about self-defense and more about training children. Well, with Ivy League, man, like I said, I would have done some things differently with Ivy League looking back on it. But at the same time, I mean, it was open 15 years. It was successful. We did a lot with it. But the vision, what the vision originally was not what it ended up being at the end,
Yeah. I always look back on it. And I like training at 88. I genuinely do. I feel like I gain a lot there. I learn a lot there. I like the culture there. But I feel like the Ivy League culture, for me, it fit.
You were definitely a good fit. Guys like you, John Farley, Chief, Phil Higgins, even like Huggins and stuff like that. Like it was a good fit for you guys,
John Farley actually, because there was a point where I don't know what was going through my mind. I wasn't contemplating quitting, but I think I was like, hey, I need to like kind of dial it back a little bit. And John Farley says to me, don't fucking quit.
It sounds like John.
And I was like, all right, I won't. Like, I actually want to get that, like when I got promoted to blue belt, I want to get that like stitched into the belt. I was like, that might be a little graphic there, so because at this point you had me, coaching the kids. I was like, I probably shouldn't have that on my belt around children. So that we'll just always keep that in mind though. Don't fucking quit. And, I've stuck with it because again, what was built then and what kind of like, I still use a lot of what, you taught us.
I hope so.
Almost to a point where it's like I keep like, I'm like, okay, I'm going deep half. It's like, you probably shouldn't go deep half right here. Yeah, but no, I think I could get it. I drilled this enough, and like you're not in a good spot. You probably should abandon that. No, I got this. Oh, hey, I'm getting triangled. Fuck.
No, it's and that's the thing when it changed over. I was nervous about when I sold it to Keith initially. I was afraid that he might not retain that many students. They were so used to my way, but he's made a pretty good transition, man. Keith is a great coach. I think that it was. I wouldn't have sold to anybody else. I think it was in very good hands going to Keith, man. But I also realized too that for me, I think I should have ran it more the way I had it run when you first signed up, like in 2015. It was when I started trying to adapt a lot of the 88 stuff in. It didn't work, man. It wasn't my style, So I probably, I think I would have been better off just doing it the way I was doing it, where we were more successful and did better. And that's again what I was talking about earlier. You can have two different schools. You can have a school run one way. There's no right or wrong, man. You can have school run one way and another. The way I ran Ivy League worked, and then when I started changing and adding in all these ideas I got from Julie's and stuff, it started to not work. And that's kind of also the reason why I sold it. I just said, man, at this point, like it's become more of an 88 model. Might as well sell it to those guys and let them run with it. But I should have kept it in my original vision as far as like the way that I ran the class and stuff. But that's all right, man. It happens, It is.
I think, not to be all like, cosmically weird or anything, but sometimes we're just, it's part of the path, the evolution of a thing. It's like, well, look, I'm gonna move on, let you guys handle that, and I'm gonna move on and have my family time, because that's important too, because I could imagine juggling all of it. It's gonna age you. So I mean, we age anyway, but there's a lot to it. So I still, like I said, I enjoy training there. I think the culture is pretty much the same, like especially on those Saturday classes. Like I remember the first time I walked into the Saturday morning class, I saw Andy Cross, Rodney, Mark was there. It was like there was just tons of like Ivy League guys there. I was like, holy shit! Like, what have I been missing?
That's why Naomi Lake's going. Naomi Lake's going because she says she feels like it's the old Ivy League when she goes up there because there's a lot of guys still there. So
yeah. Like the Monday night class is kind of feeling that way too. Like Kyle Rock is there, Leif is there. I'm like, oh. like what am I like? Okay, like I think I can do this now. I'm gonna come back to these Monday classes as well. These are like old friends. And then Kyle proceeds to beat the piss out of me, and I'm like, huh, okay, that feels familiar.
Great student, man. I miss Kyle. That guy's awesome. I remember that one day I came in. Do you remember the Wednesday morning he got me in a triangle? It was like the first roll of the morning, and he tapped me, and I was so pissed.
Hey,
dude, he got me legit, man. He just looked at. He's like, I got you. I was like, shit. Hey, it's all right though, man. It's all right. I think. Look, I have no regrets, man, and I'm glad that you guys have continued with your training. Would I have done things differently? Yeah. I mean, I would have done, but it's easy to be brilliant in hindsight. It's just kind of. Yeah. I'm just moving forwards now. I'm trying to get back in training and keep it going. If I do learn something, I'll let everybody know. But that's pretty much the story of how Ivy League started. The story of how Ivy League kind of got sold was just when my son was born too. I also wanted to dedicate more time to him, and
sure.
I just needed to change direction. So now I just drive big old commercial trucks and I do private lessons and stuff here and there. That's about it.
I mean, you still have your finger on the pulse there, and that's key.
Well, me and Ryan built a home gym across the street here. We got a gym with mats and all that stuff. So we get down there. But trainer Ryan's real. He'd be throwing me into the garage walls and stuff, beating the shit out of me. So
yeah. I remember I don't remember, it was, I guess, shortly after like the COVID stuff started clearing up. Like I'd get like a random text from you at like 2 a.m. You want to train tomorrow?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Okay. And then I guess maybe John Garfield had like a little spot.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Like in Odenton, I think it was. And
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Often now.
Like I'd show up and it was just like, simple. Like, let's just train. Like, we're just going to get some rounds in, like, nothing serious. We're just rolling. And, those things that was good. I loved it because it was like early in the morning too. It was early enough for me to like, okay, I'm gonna go do this. And then, this is when I was off on Wednesdays still. So it's like, I come do that. And then I go, train with Keith. It's like,
are you still off on Wednesdays, Dante?
No. Now my schedule is Monday through Friday.
Oh, okay.
I
was gonna say I'm off on Wednesdays now, so I was like, we can come down to my home gym here. We'll roll around a little bit. You can give me the business, buddy.
Let me look at my schedule. I'll find a day. I'll make that. Just because it's like there are times where I am off on a random Wednesday, and it's like, should I go in and train? And I spend all the time contemplating. By the time I make a decision, like, oh, it's class start at 11:30. It's 11:50. Like, you dickhead, you gotta like, if you're gonna go train, you gotta like actually take action. Don't just sit there and contemplate. I'm also like ADHD mind. So I'll be here in the basement and I was like, see an action figure fell over. I'll pick it up. I was like, let me go ahead and like repose this one. Well, now if I do this, I got to do those and I got to do this. And then it's like, shit, the time is going by. I can't go train. Like the detriment of, a plastic fanatic, I guess, but such is life.
No, man, that little thing, I say little, that giant Marvel thing you had set up downstairs, that was a pretty elaborate little setup, man. That thing was wild, bro. Is that still down there?
It's way different now.
Oh my God. Yeah, but you were like fanatical. When you would change one thing, you had to change. It was like you ever see that movie, what was it, As Good as It Gets with Jack Nicholson? That was like some OCD shit where you can't step on the cracks. You move all that's what it reminded me of, dude.
It's I counted the other day and I was at 489 figures, and I know I've added more, so I'm pretty sure I'm at 500 now.
Holy shit. All right.
Or at least I know I got 2 coming in the mail tomorrow. That should put me at 5, and that's on display. I have a bunch that are just in boxes that I don't really have a home for them anymore. I've outgrown those figures, so they might have updated it. So it's like I have like an old model, and I have like some the Justice League in my bathroom because I don't really like DC. So I just put them in the bathroom. So when people go in there to shit, it's like, you guys get to sit.
What do you think of James Gunn's Superman?
I didn't hate it, but I also it was fine. I don't need to watch it again. It's not something. It's I think it's worth to watch, but I also don't like, for me right now, when it comes to time as currency and movies and stuff, I need to, like, if it's going to have rewatch value, it really has to be something worth it. Like, but I also watch a lot of horror movies, and like those for me have the rewatch value. A lot of comic book movies I do enjoy, but there's not a lot of like, I want to go back and like Thunderbolts. I went back and rewatched and I enjoyed it the second time.
Thunderbolts?
And, Fantastic Four, I saw.
I heard it was good.
Like I enjoyed it, and I went in with extremely low expectations, and I came out like, wow, I liked it so much. I was like, I got to go buy the action figures now. Yeah. I had no plans of doing it, and I was like, let me just go buy these things now. And it was impossible to find. I was like, oh shit, like people enjoyed it that much. They all bought all the figures. Now that I got them, I'm like, okay, it's fine. But like James Gunn, whatever he's going to do with the DC universe, it sounds like he's got a good handle on his ideals. He's taking it slow. So I appreciate that as a fan, and I'll watch the other content. It's just I'm not in a rush to do it. I don't think I'm going to the theater for most of it. It's just really time. I don't have the time for it. Even with the Marvel stuff, I only go to the theater if I think, hey, they might reveal something or there might be some heavy spoilers I have to get ahead of. That's the only reason I saw Fantastic Four in theater, is because if something got spoiled, it would feel kind of cheap later on. So I was like, I watched, I was like, there's nothing to really spoil.
What was the end credit? Did anything with Doctor Doom or any of that shit?
So Doctor Doom is there, but you don't see Doctor Doom. So I think that was very important that you don't see his face, because we know who's playing him. But I think that not showing his face is very, very important to the ideal that we're probably going to have, Doctor Doom variants. But also, too, I believe the scene that was the post credit for that and Thunderbolts were both scenes that actually take place in Doomsday. Those scenes were directed by the Russo brothers.
Okay.
So I believe those are just additional scenes. Like with Civil War, the Ant-Man post-credit scene was a scene that they put in Civil War later on. So I think that's what they did with these two post-credits. And I was like, okay, it's fine. I probably could have stayed home. I thought it was going to be something more incredible, but it wasn't. It was like, it's fine. So whatever's next, I think Spider-Man's next. So
is Spider-Man next?
Yeah, in the summer. I think Spider-Man is next summer. Then Doomsday is next December. So 26. So that, and I like that too. I like that they're dialing it back and they're not giving us 6 movies a year because the shit was exhausting.
Well, 6 movies, they've been giving us a piece of shit too. So
yeah, you're giving us a bunch of crappy movies, and it's like
I'm tired of the girl boss trope, man. I'm done with that shit.
Yeah, it's like we get it, like, and a lot of stuff is like it is in the books and it works in the books, but a lot of it in the movies it felt like you're forcing it, and it's like, okay, you don't have to try so hard with it. Let the story progress naturally, and we're going to get to a good place with this if you wanted to get there. But I do feel like there was a point where they're just making you like, hey, so we've got, and a lot of these characters I like Jane Foster as Thor in the comic. I didn't like it in the movie. I like Ironheart. I like that in the comics. All this shit. It's great in the comics, but like when you start forcing it on film and not even giving a good story behind it, it's like, well, I think I don't need to watch this. I think I could just check out.
I'm with that, man, 100%.
Like, give me the cliff notes.
Give me the spark notes. I'm good.
Yeah. Otherwise, I mean, and like not even my daughter is really into it. She's like she loved Marvel Zombies. She's an odd kid. Like she's like, zombies, let me see it. I'm like, don't you want to watch Ms. Marvel? Like, no, give me the zombies. I'm like, okay, it's a little aggressive. That's why I sleep with my bedroom door locked. So I don't know. It worries me sometimes. Pretty sure she stares at me when I'm sleeping. So.
Jesus fuck, man. All right.
So I want to kind of ask a question just as we talk about the culture of the gym and the kids program. And they're just kids jiu-jitsu period. Because this is one thing I know I ran into this issue with Sarah's best friend as she had these weird misconceptions about jiu-jitsu. And it annoyed me every time. I started putting up content just being a dick to her. And I realized like she wasn't looking at it, so it was kind of wasted. But what do you think when parents, ask about jiu-jitsu and martial arts in general, like some like misconceptions or like misunderstood like ideals that parents have about kids getting into martial arts?
I think jiu-jitsu is karate. I mean, they used to anyway. I don't know. They probably still do. Yeah, they'd be like, "Oh, we're taking you to karate." I'm like, "It's not fucking karate." No, I mean it's the same. They think it's karate, or I think that was the biggest one. Was they didn't really know what it was. They didn't understand. Like if you had a parent that just kind of brought their kid to martial arts, and you just immediately introduced them to jiu-jitsu, you threw the kid out there. A lot of them, I think, might have been turned off by it. So we had a lot of striking in the kids' classes, kind of as a way to almost like segue into jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. But the parents that know what they're doing, like someone like Kevin Garrity, like someone like that's gonna do their homework, and they know what they're getting into, or even like Mike Moreno with Finn, like he knew what he was getting. But you got a lot of parents that they bring their kid in, it's just martial arts, Like Robbie Bollinger, I'm pretty sure his mom brought him and his brother Noah to Ivy League. I think they probably did think it was just martial arts. And then, you introduce them to jiu-jitsu and they fall in love with it and it goes from there. But yeah, that's the biggest one. They just think it's karate or taekwondo. I had a guy the other day. And he was like, one of my coworkers, like, yeah, I heard you train, you're a fighter, man. What do you do, taekwondo? I'm like, no, man, what the hell? This is a grown man. And he's like, you do taekwondo? No, I don't do taekwondo. No, nothing wrong with taekwondo. It's fine, but. So, yeah, that's the biggest thing. I mean, when parents bring a kid to martial arts, there's a couple of things I've learned from running a successful kids martial arts program. Number one, they're bringing it. A lot of times they bring a kid to martial arts. It's like the last thing that they've tried. They've tried soccer. They've tried baseball. They tried football. It didn't work. Martial arts is usually like that last resort for a lot of kids who have like horrible ADHD. Kids like us, man, And that's one thing I learned. And the other thing I learned is that they bring a kid to martial arts not to make them good fighters or not to make paying kids champions. They bring them to martial arts so they learn discipline, self-respect, values, the martial arts way. And that's important too. So those are the biggest thing. When you run a jiu-jitsu program, you need to be able to represent. You need to make sure you're teaching the kids values. Yes, sir. No, sir. You need to make sure you're teaching them all that, but it's also got to be fun. But, you've also got to stay true to jiu-jitsu. You can't just change it up either. So that's my big takeaway with kids.
Yeah, that was one thing that always stood out to me about the classes is the kids having fun. They're learning and they're having fun.
And some parents would be like, oh man, they're having too much fun. They're playing all the time. I mean, dude, some classes we did just play. I mean, you got to make it play. If it's not fun, the kids aren't going to want to do it. My biggest thing is like, yeah, you train them hard. Like you train them like Russian soldiers. You're going to have two really, really good kids. And my kids I train have fun with. My 100 kids got beat the hell out of your 2 kids. Because I got 100 kids that want to do it. And that is the difference, man. At a certain point down the road, you can make it tougher. You can make the training more stringent and all that crap. Like Liam Ellis, like now he's moving into harder training stuff. But in the beginning, it's just about fun. They're kids, man, Yeah. That was my biggest thing that made my kids program successful. Above all else was that we taught the kids good moves. We had a good structure, but it was fun. We played dodgeball at the end of class. We knew all the kids by name, and we knew we cared about the kids. We really cared. And we also kept a close eye on the program, because you got to be careful. Some of these instructors you can bring in are weirdos, man. You got a young kid. Like, you got to be careful who you got training these kids, man, because all it takes is one dude to come in and he's some weirdo and, touch the child. I mean, that kid's life is ruined. So you've got to be on top of that too. But we took the kids program very seriously. But having fun was the biggest thing. Having fun and having a good staff that you're very selective about who you bring in is key.
Yeah. I was actually just a guest on a podcast recently, and that came up. We were talking about, coaching kids. And that's one of the things I said was like, it's got to be fun.
It's got to be fun.
Like even just in teaching preschool, you'd have parents watching the class and they're like, the kids are just playing. It's like kids learn through play at all levels. You can learn through play, like Sophie, would wrestle around and she's learning so much from just like, playing what it seems like to her, but she's picking up these important skills. And that's no different in the gym, especially when it's organized and you understand. I mean, one thing I always liked doing with the kids was playing sharks and minnows.
Oh, that's a great game. Great game.
Sharks and minnows. I mean, I like playing shark and minnows, but I love playing dodgeball just because.
Yeah, dodgeball's my jam, man. Look, our Ivy League kids could have gone pro in dodgeball.
Keep them honest.
Do you remember we went out and played Vanessa's kids at Owens Mills and beat the hell out of them?
No, I mean,
they had no chance at dodgeball.
That's the thing. Like them playing dodgeball so much, it was like, yeah, they could go pro if they had a professional dodgeball league.
I'm telling you, man, we were like a pro team, man.
Yeah, I mean, and that was also one of the like highlight. Like the kids were looking forward to that. It's like when you give them choices, it's like, all right, so we can play this, or this. It was always dodgeball. It was like it got to a point where I know for me, I was like, all right, we got to play some of these other games. Like, I want to do dodgeball, but like parents are gonna start wondering, are we running a dodgeball academy?
Oh, dude, but that's also kind of the catch on that too, is that you got to you do have to have fun with the kids, but you've got to be teaching real moves. You've got to have like a real practice. You can't just play the whole time. Mm-hmm. And so you run like a really fine line between having too much fun and then making it too. You got to find that balance, man. But at the end of the class, the dodgeball. I mean, I'm fairly convinced half the kids came just for the dodgeball game at the end. And that's okay. Look, the point is, you get them in there, they build rapport. You know what I mean? Like, like long lasting relationships formed at Ivy League with these kids, man, because they go K-State for dodgeball. It's like, it's great, man. I love it.
There was one of the kids, Emmerich.
Oh, Emmerich, what happened to him, man? Emmerich Newman. Yeah,
I ran into his dad recently.
Yeah, man, his dad's awesome, dude.
And we were talking because it's like, you're familiar, and like as we're going,
like I know you.
It turns out like, oh, wait a minute, we start talking about me sitting there playing Pokemon with him after training. He was like, oh, he loved doing that. Like that was like the highlight of his night. I was like, really?
Yeah, no, I mean, but that's the thing. Like, if you run a kids program, and your sole goal is just get buys in the room and try to make money, it's not going to work. You've got to have a vested interest in these kids, man. You've got to want to see them get better. You've got to want to see them happy. You've got to want to see them have fun. That's the thing. And you can't fake it with the children's program. You've really got to be all in on it. And we were. We had you. We had Naomi. We had Katniss for a while.
I mean, like I said, when I came in, the thing that I observed was, how were the kids' class running? Like, if the coaches are speaking with, respect to the kids and really explaining the moves and they're getting it. And even if they don't get it, there's patience. I
always hate when coaches talk down to kids. That pisses me off. It still makes me mad. Like, even though I know they're kids, like, don't talk down. Don't talk to them like they're human beings. They're still people,
Mm-hmm. You have to look at it, just as that, they're people. And what you say to them, that might be like, if you say something really, really like horrible to them, that sticks with them.
Yeah.
So
it does. You're absolutely right.
Keep those things in mind. One of the last questions I want to ask you here before I jump to a rapid fire. I think I have a rapid fire. How do you define success when it comes to your students?
Are they a good person? Have you helped them get over some type of adversity, a divorce, failing in school, getting better grades, teach them to be confident. Like, you're a boy, you teach them to be confident. And now they can talk to girls, or, it's a girl, they're confident. Now they can talk to boys, like teaching people to stand on their own 2 feet and embrace life and all life's challenges, and learning how to make lemonade out of lots of lemons, I think is the most important. To me, that's the most valuable. As a martial arts instructor, if you're doing good in the community and you're making people better versions of themselves, whatever that may be, you get someone to quit drinking or whatever, like, or they lose all this weight, like, that is the true mark of a good instructor to me, and having gold medals in world championships and paying kids titles, that, dude, don't get me wrong, that stuff was great and I enjoyed it. But to me, the real thing was seeing this kid come into Ivy League, scared of the world, scared of his own shadow, and then, he's training with us. He comes in Ivy League, he felt like somebody. We made him believe that he was somebody. Now he's going to the school, his grades get better. He goes to prom, he meets a girl, you know what I mean? Like, stuff like that. He just, like, he believes in himself, and he believes that the future has endless possibilities, and his life gets better. That, to me, that was more gratifying than any title, any world championship, any of that stuff. That was the most. So yeah, to me, that's what an instructor should look to do, is better the lives of your students. If you can do that, you're winning. That's it.
I can speak from personal experience that it changed me. Learning from you all changed me. And I have, my wife tells me, and I have an old friend that I grew up with. He said, like, once I started training jiu-jitsu, everything changed. He was like, you became a calmer person. You, like, and I guess on his end, trusted, in a sense of, like, if there's an altercation, it used to be Unhinged Dante comes in. It's like a fucking bull in a china shop. Now it's like there's a calmness that came with this confidence. I was, felt like I didn't have to be loud to get the attention. I didn't have to be aggressive to get the attention. I could come in and calmly say, hey, what's going on? All right, well, let's dissect this. And, this is just coming from, a good friend that he was like, I noticed that change after training. And Sarah, like I said, she always sends me, but I think she just likes me getting humbled, and then I come back quiet, and she's like, yeah, go to bed now, bastard.
That's it, man.
So I want to ask you 3 quick rapid fires, right? 3 of them. Gi or no gi?
Oh, no gi for me. I like no gi better.
Okay. Nice. Favorite submission to teach?
Cement mixer. Without question, cement mixer.
Hey, I still use it.
I love that move, man.
As soon as I see it, I get excited. My eyes light up. I'm like, oh, it's
Doing
on.
it and teaching is still my all-time favorite cement mixer.
Hey, gotta love it. And then one thing every white belt should know.
That in order to be a good hammer, first you got to be a good nail.
That's an absolute fact. I love that because that's where I heard that from you. And whenever I go to get my ass kicked, it's like, you know what? That's okay. I'm learning from that because I'm going to flip that on you next time. I learned so much from just that. So awesome. All right. Well, Coach, let's go ahead and wrap this bad boy up. Thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. And it's just good, like talking with you. Like you said, we hadn't talked in a while. And I think with my kind of falling off the earth, it was really just my brain gets overwhelmed. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know who to talk to. And then I stay down here in this basement with all this plastic and start like, why don't we make a fucking diorama over here in a fight scene? I should probably text a friend though.
Just call me and I'll come over and hang out, brother. You got my number, man.
Yeah. I mean, I'll take you up on that. All right,
that's a bet.
Before we get out of here, do you have any shout outs or mentions you'd like to leave our listeners with?
Nope, man. Just keep doing jiu-jitsu, keep wrestling, keep boxing, and keep progressing.
Awesome. Hey, that's what I'm doing. So y'all can do it too. And as always, to the listeners, thank you. If y'all have any questions, concerns, criticisms, anything, feel free to reach out. You can find me at bjj.wiki on Instagram or Off the Mask Podcast as well on Instagram. I want to give a big shout out to my crew over at Nerve Age Radio, Bobby, Chris, Joe, Maryland, Phil, Ricky, Tiki, and that whole crew, because I'm not going to name them all because it's like the Wu-Tang. There's too many of y'all. If it weren't for them, I wouldn't be on the podcast. So thank you to those fellas. If you like the podcast, shout out to them. If you don't like the podcast, blame them. So either way, you made it this far, so you got to love it. I also want to shout out my other podcast. So you like horror. If you like scary movies, go check that joint out. I don't know where we're at. We probably just dropped the Halloween episode because Halloween, remake versus original. We talked about 1978 versus 2007. So go check it out. It's So You Like Horror on Instagram, all the words separated by underscores, or you can go find the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. And last but not least, I want to give a big shout out and thank you to my guest here and my original coach, Mr. Danny Ives. Thank you very much for doing this, man. And this was a lot of fun. I'm glad we got to talk and just, dissect things and talk jiu-jitsu. So thank you, man.
Anytime, brother. Anytime, man.
And again, to you guys, the listeners, we love you. Thank you so much. We appreciate the hell out of you. You know what it is. You guys keep listening, and we're going to definitely keep making these shows. Thank you, everybody, and bye.
Deep with it. Now let me sing a song.